Hello and welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. We will take your calls. Yes, we can do that today. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. To kick things off, meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right. Oh, I'm trying to make my Barbara Walters light work, and it's wait a minute. Hang on a second. Everybody
Oh,
take
look at the
two. Oh,
difference.
there's a part. Excuse me, everybody. I'm sorry. Am I holding everybody up? Yes, I am. Okay. Here we go. See, now look. Now, don't I look 20 years younger? Now instead of 80, I look
You're
60.
glowing, Ken.
How about
Glowing.
glow? There we go. And
That's it.
everybody, when they see me in person, they say, "You look so much older in person." I say,
Oh
"Because I
gosh.
don't have." You got to walk around with this.
Yep.
Just walk around in
hmm
public and go, "Hello, hello."
The
Anyway, so
sunshine of the day.
So do we have the same baking heat in Florida and in California
Oh,
today as we did yesterday?
it was warm yesterday, but then you heard about the records that were set down in South Florida. 100 degrees in Miami, first time that's ever occurred in recorded history. That's really some wild stuff. Now, our forecast today remains dry. It'll be warm throughout this afternoon, just about as warm as yesterday with the clear sky. But as far as the conditions go, nothing like that insane heat and humidity that hit portions of now tropical portions of Florida. So, want to look at the stress potential for today and tomorrow. Another round of that heat continues for portions of Florida, especially along the Gulf Coast, even along the Atlantic coast and back inland. I mean, this is that kind of Alabama-like humidity they talk about that makes it very, very warm and uncomfortable. Yes, some extreme heat and humidity remains for portions of the South. Will it be warm today in New Jersey? Yes, and most of the Northeast, but not insufferable heat as that warm weather moves eastward. Likely a few showers rolling in by later on tomorrow. I think today we're dry, but you see this weak front passes through going into tomorrow afternoon, giving us some spot showers, and then by Friday, a beautiful finish to the week. This is the day we've all been waiting for. Friday's forecast is going to look spectacular. Excellent way to finish out the week. I think Saturday starts off with some clouds, maybe a few sprinkles down the shore, but again, we're pretty quiet. Down to the tropics, if we take a look at what's happening along the Gulf, because we are in the approaching the statistical peak of hurricane season, just 2 weeks away now, and still nothing going on there. Even the Saharan dust starting to lighten up a bit, meaning we may see some more activity in the next 2 weeks or so as this lightens up. But overall, I think it's quiet for now, which is some good news, considering all of that hot weather that portions of South Florida really have to contend with. But again, heat down in Florida, not unusual. What is unusual is, how quickly it spiked yesterday afternoon to triple digits. First time that's ever happened down at Miami International Airport, Ken.
For years, I have been telling people, it's always been the conversation at the dinner parties. Do you know it's never broken 100 degrees in Miami? And people can't believe it because they think of the team Miami Heat, et cetera, and they
Yeah.
assume, oh, it's always hot there. It has never broken that temperature because when it gets to the upper 90s, you get a thunderstorm and it cools things down. So I guess that ain't the case this time. So I got to find a new
That's it.
topic of conversation for
Well, it's
dinner
never hit
parties now.
101, now you can just raise it.
Yeah.
Raising the bar, Ken. That's what we do on this
Yeah,
morning
but
show.
the
We
the
raise
whole
the
point
bar.
is that the whole point was pointing out the six figures, six figures,
Mm.
three figures. I wish six figures. The three figures of hitting 100 degrees. That I think everybody assumes, oh, it's Miami. It has to have been 112 degrees there or something, and it just hasn't because of that. So it's kind of interesting that it did happen. But you know what? Saharan dust, by the way, I wanted to point out that
Please.
was my dancer name in college. Um,
Oh.
so yeah, Saharan dust. It's because I had the little sparkles on my face. I don't know if people, I just wanted to put it out there and make sure everything was out the, up and up. All right. Well, there you go. That's a good way to start the day, isn't it? I need some Tums now. Thank you, Mike. It is 71 degrees in northern New Jersey. It is 66 in Trenton. There's a disparity, 5 degrees there. In California right now, 68 degrees, Los Angeles, 70 degrees in San Diego. terms of traffic. Look at this incident already on I-80. We have a disabled truck east of exit 39. This is on the eastbound side. Look at that, causing some traffic. This is by Route 53 in Parsippany, Troy Hill. See, I always kid around and call it Parsippany, even though it's Parsippany. So now I just got caught on the air calling it Parsippany. Parsippany, Troy Hills, the left lane of the 4 lanes closed. Everybody diverting over, but it's causing delays of about 2 miles as a result. We have problems on the Garden State Parkway. There's a crash southbound, south of exit 137, Cranford, 2 right lanes blocked. That's going to be a mess, and especially people trying to get down the shore a little early on a Wednesday rather. And then your Hudson River crossings, the Holland Tunnel approach already heavy. This is Route 139, making your way from the Turnpike. Look at the amount of traffic already at this early hour, going from the Turnpike to the right into the Tube, and then over to the Lincoln Tunnel. We already have problems. This is the approach to the Helix. And this is going to cost you about 45 minutes. This is unusual to have that much traffic this early into the Lincoln Tunnel. I don't know if there's a reason. We're not being told that there's a reason, but that's a mess. And that doesn't usually happen. Look at that. There's no motion at all. That tells me there might be something on the Manhattan side. That's more than just volume and glare. And then let's check out the GWB, see if we have any relief there. I don't even know yet because we don't have any report on it. Oh, it says here a crash, upper level. So let's see how this is impacting traffic. We have a different shot. All right, so this is the 2.5 mile shot. It's really hard to judge traffic. If you have traffic there, that means you have like an hour delay. So this is going to be a tough way to judge. The camera we usually use that would tell us the 30-minute point, that's out this morning for maintenance. But bottom line is we're told that there is now a truck crash on the GWB upper level, closer to the New York side. So just beware for that. That's going to cause some delay. So it's going to be a mess getting into Manhattan today. Just stay home. If you can work from home, work from home. The best bet. Over in Los Angeles, we have a traffic collision now on the 405 at Getty Center Drive, and that is in West LA. Another one in South LA at Myler Street and West 223rd. And then we have a missing elderly person. And this is in, missing elderly in LA proper, silver alert issued. So if you happen to see an elderly person, it's only 4:07 in the morning, who seems to be wandering about, call the police immediately. Do not approach the person. Just let police know that they are seemingly wandering at that hour. 7 minutes past the hour. Florida, Alaska, and Wyoming held their primaries yesterday. In Florida, former DNC head Debbie Wasserman Schultz, whose district got redistricted. Florida was entirely redistricted. Well, she comfortably won her bid for re-election against Democratic Socialist Dale Holness. So Dale Holness, who was very, very ardently to the left, was proclaiming that Wasserman Schultz was not far enough to the left. And there were some people saying that he would unseat her. They were using race, saying that she was now running in a district that was predominantly black and that as a white woman, she shouldn't. And I mean, listen, if you are black, do not use that argument, not in 2026, because reverse it and think what it would sound like. Think what it would sound like. This is a predominantly white district. You're black. You can't run here. Would that fly? No, it would not. So do not try the shit of flipping it around and saying this is a predominantly black district. You shouldn't run because you're white. That is absolute racism. There is no such thing as reverse racism, wholeness. It is racism. So don't use term. By the way, this guy, he is black, Jewish, and gay. There's a combination. All right. So for somebody who is black, Jewish, and gay to point the finger at somebody who is white, female, Jewish, and say, you can't run in my district because it's predominantly black. I would, if I were another black person in your district, I would say, well, you're Jewish and gay. I don't want you running in my district. How about that? You want to nitpick down to the silliness? So how about this? We're all American. You could run in any district you damn well please. And if you have the right ideas, you get elected. That's the way it works. It's not supposed to be whether you're male, female, gay, straight, black, white, Jewish, non-Jewish, Christian, Muslim. That's not what it's supposed to be about. It's America. And this is why you're going to get your asses handed to you in November, because of stupid thoughts like that. Just saying. All right. So in Florida, back to Florida, there was another person who defeated a DSA candidate. So for governor, Republican Congressman Byron Donalds, whom you've seen on Fox News Channel, there he is right there. He is a very eloquent man, extremely intelligent. One of these guys who worked his way up, pulling himself up by the bootstraps. He worked very popularly. He talks about the fact that he worked at Waffle House as a waiter. And that man became a congressman. And now it turns out in Florida, because it's like 60% Republican, if you are the Republican candidate for governor, chances are you will win. So Ron DeSantis is term limited out. That man right there will likely be the next governor of Florida. He will be the first African-American governor of Florida, and he happens to be a conservative Republican supporter of Donald Trump. So there you go. Let's go over to Alaska, where there is ranked choice voting, which is the stupidest system in the world. But I guess they do it there because they don't want to make people have to come out to the snowy tundra twice. So what you have on your screen there, top 4 finalists actually advanced to November's general election. The 2 highest vote getters were Republican Dan Sullivan, whom you see on the right, and on the left, Democrat Mary Peltola. There was a little trick that they played in Alaska. See Dan Sullivan? Another guy claimed to be a Republican and claims his name is Dan Sullivan. It turns out he's not a Republican. This other guy is a lifelong ardent left wing. He's like a democratic socialist lying about the fact that he's a Republican. He got on the ballot as a Republican to confuse people so that they would think they're voting for this guy. As it turns out, enough people saw through the silliness and voted for this guy. But imagine having 2 people on the ballot named Dan Sullivan. One of them is an actual Republican, one of them claiming he's a Republican. But people had to do a little work. They're looking into whether or not it's fraud, because the guy claims to be a lifelong Republican. And it turns out he's never been a Republican until he entered the race. Not this one. This is the right Dan Sullivan. We're talking about the other Dan Sullivan. But that's the way Democrats play today. It's about just being dirty and getting into power. In Wyoming, the big race for U.S. Senate, Democrat James Byrd and Billy Benavidez were facing Trump Republican Harriet Hageman in November. And we don't have pictures because they didn't supply them. Harriet Hageman, I finally found a picture of this morning, but that's all right. So bottom line is I think they're going to hold on to the Senate seat in Wyoming. In Minnesota, the Attorney General Keith Ellison is suing the state of Texas and Governor Greg Abbott to force the extradition of ICE agent Christian Castro, who is charged in connection with a January shooting in Minneapolis. Prosecutors allege that Castro shot a man in the leg and later gave false information to police. Ellison says Castro could be released from a Texas jail next week if Minnesota's extradition request is not honored. ABC, whom I used to work for, just full disclosure, ABC, Disney, and 8 local stations are suing the Federal Communications Commission. ABC is a subsidiary of Disney, for the record. They are arguing that the agency, the FCC's early review of their broadcast licenses threatens their First Amendment rights. The network says the FCC's actions are retaliation for its news coverage and programming, while FCC Chairman Brendan Carr says broadcasters have an obligation to operate in the public interest. Now, broadcast licenses are a privilege. They are not a right. Just because you are granted a license now, it says it right on the license that it could be rescinded at any time for any reason. So now, has it been done that way before? Not really, but that doesn't mean it can't be. Just like your driver's license can be rescinded at any time. It's a privilege. So while ABC is complaining about it, and I can understand they have billions of dollars tied into their broadcast properties, it's a tough one. If it is deemed by a majority of the FCC that they're not serving the public interest by doing what they're doing, by basically appealing to one segment of the political population and not the other, which especially at election time, you're not supposed to do. It's supposed to be open to everybody. ABC could lose its licenses. This could be a real thing. It's not just a threat. So we'll see what happens. But, if I were the broadcaster, I'd be pissed. But what you own as a broadcast entity is you own the station, the building, you own the people work for you, you own the camera, etc. You own the means of transmission, but you don't own the license. And if the FCC says, you know what, we're rescinding the license, then you just have to broadcast on the internet. You don't get to broadcast over over the air. So we'll see what happens. Look, I used to work for the company. I had wonderful years there. Part of me would hate to see that. That would not be good. But the other side is you need to make sure as a broadcaster that you represent all sides. And that includes this channel. So that's very, very important to do. All right. And then, of course, there's a big story right now at Penn State. Pennsylvania authorities have charged 14 people, including 13 current or former Penn State students, in an alleged cocaine trafficking operation that operated through 2 off-campus frat houses. Investigators say frat members and pledges were used to cut and package cocaine before it was distributed to students. Penn State and the frats involved have suspended members, in some cases chapter operations, while the allegations are investigated. That is a big deal, and it's a shame to see that happening at Penn State. 15 minutes past the hour. When we return, we'll introduce you to a 3-year-old from Freehold who's captured hearts across New Jersey. Little Elias has made it all the way to the final round of the 2026 Toddler of the Year competition. His mom will join us. We're coming back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Wednesday, live in New Jersey and New York. We now welcome our good friends in LA. Let's go to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike. So we're looking at much more, I guess, seasonal temperatures. I love that term,
Yes.
seasonal temperatures in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. How about in Florida, though? Are we seeing anything more seasonal there?
No, the heat continues there. It is
Wow.
ridiculously hot and humid. That remains. So even though yesterday broke the all-time record in Miami for heat, that will continue down across the Gulf states, even portions a little further inland along the Gulf, thanks to just the weather setup and the pattern, keeping portions of the South very, very hot today. We start off dry and sunny. It's a beautiful beginning to our day here across New Jersey and most of the Northeast, whereas today all of that hot weather continues not only across the desert Southwest, but even across the Southeast. Similar to tomorrow, not much movement or change in the weather pattern as that high pressure remains parked off of Florida in the Bahamas, and then you have this high pressure over the desert Southwest that remains. And that'll be the case into tomorrow, consistent heat out in the Southwest, whereas here in the Northeast, we tap into a little bit of rain. It'll be wet with some storms rolling throughout tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. A weak front passes by, but that will clear out, delivering beautiful, dry sunshine for Friday. A great, nice way to start the weekend. Saturday gets a little wet again. This low rides up the coast, gives us some clouds, some showers through the first half of the weekend, and likely starts off Sunday a bit wet, but clearing takes over by Sunday afternoon. You can see that here zoomed into the longer range futurecast, with most of the wet weather starting off later Saturday morning. You see it here delivering some wet weather throughout the early part of the weekend. By Sunday afternoon, most of that clears out, and then we are gorgeous by Monday. A beautiful start to next week with the clear sky remaining even through Tuesday. So a very pretty look ahead going into, say, the first part of next week. Again, these are those showers that come through later tomorrow morning into the afternoon. Friday looks gorgeous, and then we have another round of clouds and light rain coming through on Saturday that hits the shore points and even lasts into Sunday morning. But it looks better going into next week. We've got another check of your forecast, Ken, coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. It is 20 minutes past. We have a temperature 71 degrees, northern New Jersey, 66 in Trenton. And today we are introducing you to a 3-year-old by a mommy. From Freehold, who has captured hearts across New Jersey, Elias has made it all the way to the final round of the 2026 Toddler of the Year competition, where he is competing for the title and a $25,000 grand prize. The competition supports Toys for Tots, making the experience about more than just a title. And joining us is Elias's mom, Alyssa Saavedra, to tell us about Elias's journey to the finals and how New Jersey can help him cross the finish line. And full disclosure, I went on the website last night and I voted for Elias. So just so you know, I am now officially biased, and I got my 2 points in last night at about 8 o'clock. So there you go, Mom. People can do that, right? Everybody, if you want to make a donation, the more of a donation you make to Toys for Tots, the more you can vote, the more points. But you can vote for free, and you get 2 points for Elias. Do I have that right?
Yes, that is correct. I really appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to speak with me this morning. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm great. Happy to have you on. He is just deliciously adorable. What a cutie pie!
Yeah.
And tell us how this first started. What's he like? We don't have him on, obviously, because he's a little one. But what is
Yeah.
he like normally? What makes him so special for the Toddler of the Year?
Oh yeah, he's just a loving and an affectionate little boy. He has an older brother, Zane, a little sister, Maya, that he just plays with all the time. Loves Bluey, Spider-Man. He's just a boy's boy. He just loves playing with Legos, building blocks, going to the park, swimming. He's just a truly amazing little boy. Just a big heart, caring, affectionate, super sensitive as well. I just felt like this competition would be super fitting for him. I can't believe we've made it so far in the competition. So I'm so excited to even be, in the final round amongst, so many children across the country. So really grateful that we even made it this far. And thank you for that vote. I really appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. How did you first find out about the competition, though? Were you just like reading and say, "Oh my gosh, look at this. We got to get Elias in this."
Yeah, so I heard about it online actually last year. I heard about it. Didn't sign him up back then, but I was like, I'm going to try him out for this year, see how far we can get. Really brought together the family, grandparents, friends, coworkers. Everybody really has been supporting us along the way and was able to have us get this far. So we're so, grateful for the support. We really appreciate all of that.
And how did you first get word that he had made it to the final round? Did they call you? Did they send you an email? How did you find out?
Yeah, so it was so we how it works really is we're in a competition in a grouping system with multiple different children. And down to there's a countdown until the last very second. And as long as he gets to first, he was able to move on to the next round. So he was able to move on. We caught him, screenshotted it that he was first at the last second, and we received an email saying that he was able to progress on to the finals. So it was super exciting, and very grateful to be able to make it this far again.
That's awesome. Does Elias realize, because he's so little, does he understand like what's going on right now?
Not really. He's just excited. He sees that we're excited for him for this. We keep telling him about the competition. He's like, "Am I first? Am I first?" I'm like, "We're trying. We're trying." we're trying to get you. But I'm like, you're a winner regardless of what happens. I mean,
Oh,
the cause is really every donation, like you said, goes to Toys for Tots. So at the end of the day, it's a great cause and it's going to help children in need. So we're really happy for that.
it was a very clever and adorable way to raise money. Toys for Tots
Yeah.
has been there for so many years, helping kids out, families who are struggling, and what a smart way to help raise a little bit of money because everybody wants to rally around the. It's hard to find a baby who isn't cute. Most
Yeah.
of them are cute in their own little way, but
Yeah.
it's always fun to get people to rally around all the babies, and it becomes like well, this is our baby. Like we've never met Elias, but suddenly he becomes our baby. It's like picking a football team. This is he's from Freehold. He's our
Yeah.
guy. So we're all gonna get behind him, and he is cute as a button. So that
Thank you
helps.
so much.
If he had
Yes.
like a black eye and a missing tooth, that would be a different story. But he's adorable.
Thank
What are his siblings? How are his siblings behaving? His older brother, you said?
Yeah, so he has an older brother. He's 8 years old. His name is Zane. He is like his number one campaign manager. He every day he goes every day he goes to camp. He's telling all his friends, all the counselors, please vote for my brother. He's his number one support system, really. And Elias's grandparents, number one as well. Completely supportive throughout the entire competition. All of her friends. It feels like it really has brought a community together and got everyone riling behind Elias. So we're really grateful for that.
Zane's going to want a cut of the money if
Yeah.
Elias wins. He gets a cut of the 25 G's. That's it. I'm the agent. I get 10%. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
So have they had anything in person for you yet, or is that just when there is a winner that you all have to meet up with, like Toys for Tots and stuff?
Yeah, so when there is a winner, it's going to be announced on September 11th. And at
Okay.
that point, they would be able to let everybody know who has, won. And then there would be a Hollywood, we would be, if we were able to win, we'd be flown out to Hollywood for the Christmas parade. So Elias would be leading the Christmas parade at that point. So it's very
I could
exciting.
just see him. I'm just picturing that cute little face in charge and right in the front of the Christmas parade, doing like a Pope wave to everybody
Oh
like
yeah, you're
this.
practicing that wave.
So voting ends tomorrow night, right?
Yes,
So have the
voting.
people watching. All right. So we got to get everybody. Is it what? Toddleroftheyear.org?
Yes, toddleroftheyear.org. There is, you can be able to see all the toddlers that are competing in the finals right now, and then just scroll till you see Elias and be able to vote for him. Again, every vote is free. If you do donate it, again, it goes straight to Toys for Tots. So it is a, charitable donation helping kids in need. So
Amen.
please
Well,
vote.
we are behind. We have our toddler right there on the screen. We're behind him, Elias. So when you see all the toddlers on the screen, just say, "Oh, you're cute. You're cute. You're cute." Oh, there's Elias. That's the one we're going to vote for. Not that I'm prejudiced or anything, but I'm pushing it in
Yeah.
that direction. Let's hope that all happens. So
Yeah.
we are so happy that you are on, and so proud of you. And again, toddleroftheyear.org. Elias Saavedra and Mommy Alyssa. God bless you guys. Thank you so
Bless
much for coming
you.
on this
Thank
morning, and
you
let
so
us know how
much.
everything turns out. All right. We're
Thank
rooting for
you.
him.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
You bet, Alyssa. Have a great day. What a little cutie pie. 28 minutes past the hour when we come back. For many recent graduates, landing that first job can feel harder than ever, with employers asking for years of experience for roles that are labeled entry level. We're going to talk about that in 2 minutes. very good morning. 30 minutes past the hour, Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and now the West Coast with on LACA.com. I mentioned on FLA.com, which is our new Florida channel as well. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike. So yesterday, it was just a lot of overcast for the Northeast,
Mm-hmm.
but I think a lot of people will take the overcast with more seasonal temperatures as opposed to the 100 degrees they got with
Yeah.
incredible humidity in South Florida.
And we have the lantern flies here in New Jersey. Had one land
Yeah, we
yesterday on my
do.
ear, and then it was on my shoulder, and then you try and swat it, it jumps away. So yes, so Viking, very busy this time of year. Viking
Yep.
Pest Control, our weather sponsor, especially with the mosquitoes too. Had a lot of rainfall earlier this month, and that's promoting a lot of mosquito activity across most of New Jersey. With the high humidity too, that muggy weather lasted right through the afternoon, and then had a few sprinkles come through later in the day. Well, the opposite of that is the dry heat that's occurring down in the desert southwest, where it remains very warm there. Quick check of Florida, where some more thunderstorms developed today. This should keep the temperature a little down, a little lesser than it was yesterday, thanks to that activity being a little bit higher. Kind of normal. You get that afternoon storm, cools things off a bit. But you can see right now, down along in the tropics, just quiet, not much organized activity, just the typical thunderstorms, so not much, if any, development there over the next 7 days or so, but that could change it rather quickly. Down toward the desert southwest, where the rain takes over in the mountains and inland, but at the coast, the dry weather persists as long as that low sits just to the south and east of San Diego, and that allows that dry weather to persist with not even a morning marine layer down along the coast, so it remains nice and dry there. Again, most of the country rather quiet today, keeping an eye, however, on those storms that arrive tomorrow, Ken. That'll give us some wet weather across New Jersey for your Thursday. We'll take a look at the longer range and let you know how the rest of August is shaping up for the country. That's coming up in a few minutes.
All right, sir. Appreciate that. And we have a little bit of traffic to tell everybody about. So it's let's see, 7:33. We have 71 degrees northern New Jersey, 66 degrees in Trenton, Los Angeles now 68 degrees. San Diego is 69 degrees. In terms of traffic, let's go to 295. We have a disabled vehicle 295 southbound south of exit 52, which is Columbus Road in Mansfield. Pardon me. The left lane is closed. Garden State Parkway, we have a crash and a vehicle off the roadway, and this is Garden State southbound north of exit 120 in Old Bridge. All lanes are open, but that's a problem as people try to pass. Now, remember before we talked about our problems at the Lincoln Tunnel? We said, why is that stopped? Why is everything stopped? Let's go to 495 first, Pam, if we could, and show this. This is the approach to this is Columbia Ave. There we go. That is not normal. So now we know what happened. There is an overheight tractor trailer that went to the Lincoln Tunnel center tube and got stuck. It got stuck. Look at this mess. As a result, it's going to cost you over an hour. Look at this. The bus lanes are stopped. The car lanes are stopped. That is over an hour at the Lincoln. Here's my advice. Don't take the Lincoln. They're saying over an hour. That means it could be 2 hours. Go anywhere. Go anywhere else. Best bet, drive 12 miles north, go to the GWB. That's what I would do, because the Holland's already a mess too. In fact, we'll look at the Holland, 139 from the turnpike into the tubes. You can see that, look at the left lanes stopped. The lanes that are moving, coming toward us, those are going to the local streets in Jersey City. Those are not going into the tube. So the lanes into the tube are stopped. That's already 45 minutes. Now we'll show you GWB. GWB is actually looking pretty good. This is the 2.5 mile point that we're going to show you. This is the wide camera. So this is not up close. It's kind of rough. Usually if you see traffic, oh, all right, I spoke too soon. I was going to say, if you see traffic at this point, that means you already have close to an hour delay. And you do. All right. So this is just a darn bad day to get into Manhattan. Your 3 approaches into Manhattan don't work. Your best bet is pack your patience, call the boss, say, I'd like to work from home today, boss. or go, if you want to go really crazy, go all the way up to the Tappan Zee Bridge, the Governor Mario M. Cuomo Tappan Zee Bridge, cross over, take the throughway down, because that might be the only way to get in on time. What a mess. All right. In terms of, let's go over to LA. We have a traffic collision now in West LA at 405 and the Getty Center Drive area. In South LA, Myler Street and West 223rd has a collision. And we have a, missing elderly person now in LA proper. It is a male in his 80s named Frank. And we give the name only because if you see the person, you are supposed to not approach the person, but you can call the name and keep an eye on the person until police arrive, but never approach the person because you don't want to scare them. It is 36 minutes past the hour. For many recent graduates, landing that first job can feel more difficult than ever, with employers now asking for years of experience for roles that are labeled entry level. It's like, okay, I'm going to be filing paper. Why do I need 6 degrees? And when opportunities are limited like that, having the right guidance and professional connections can make a huge difference. Joining us now is Baron Witherspoon Sr., CEO and founder of the Black Exec LLC. We say good morning and welcome, Baron. Good to have you on.
Ken, thanks for having me. Good morning
It's
to you.
great to have you on. Good, great to have you on. If I had $1 for every one of my friends whose kids graduated college in May, June, and they were looking for work and couldn't get work, I wouldn't have to do this show. I can't believe how many people cannot get a job out of college. So when we talk about mentorship and sponsorship, what's the difference between mentorship and sponsorship? But why are they both very important?
That's a great question. A lot of the models actually talk about sponsorship as a part of a mentoring matrix. So mentorship is a very broad term. So when you think about mentorship, I like to give it the simple definition of trusted resource. So this can be anybody, right? This can be someone that is way more experienced than you. This can be a peer. This can be someone who you may have more seniority to, or it could be someone from outside the organization that just has something to offer you as a resource. So mentorship, think of that as a very broad term. It's a kind of relationship that is focused on you, on helping you. Sponsorship is very different. You want to say something, Ken?
No. I was just going to say, while we were still on mentor, what makes you finish the sponsorship thing? But I was going to say, then we're going to ask what makes an effective mentor. Like when you're looking for a mentor, who's the mentor you should be looking for? But I'm sorry to step in. Go ahead, please finish.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So the difference with the sponsor is that the sponsor is a more narrow lane, right? This person is, I like to call it an effective advocate. So this is somebody who is not just, somebody to bounce things off of, or just someone that you can go and have a conversation with in a sort of, trusted environment. This is a person who is advocating for your success. So in one way, the mentor is really there as just a person that talks to you. But the sponsor is someone who talks about you. And that's the difference.
That makes sense. So it's almost like your agent. If you were paying somebody, the agent is the sponsor in essence, who kind of walks in the door and says, hey, I got this great guy. Whereas the mentor helps guide you to do that yourself. Is that sort of the difference?
Yes, I think it is. Obviously this is oversimplified a little bit, but I think the reason that this is such a hot topic is because it's much easier to find mentors than it is to find sponsors. And by, sort of conflating these and getting confused on the definition, a lot of people go a great deal of time throughout their career without really having good sponsorship. And so that can be a real issue for you in developing and advancing your career.
Yeah, because as a mentor, I mean, I've been a mentor to a lot of people who wanted to get into broadcasting when I was at ABC, et cetera. They would call and say, well, what's my first move? And so somebody in the business already who's gone through the hoops, we could sit down and say, well, look, first you want to do your internships, you want to, spread out the resumes, et cetera. So that, and there's no skin in the game, if you will, for me. I don't mind sharing my knowledge with people. When you put your neck on the line, if you will, recommending somebody, that's a different deal. That's something that as as a sponsor, you have to feel comfortable with the person, knowing that your reputation is talking about that person. You want to make sure that before you can do that and make the introduction, you want to make sure that person is right for the career move, if you will. So that's why there are fewer people I would have sponsored over the years. I'm just talking about personal experience, obviously, than mentored. And the problem is entry level opportunities are so hard to find. Is it because companies are cutting back? They're using AI more? What's going on?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. Unfortunately, it's a confluence of issues. One is obviously the work that is happening at the entry level. A lot of that work is being transferred to other sources. So, with the advent of AI, for example, and I'm not just talking about mundane work, I'm talking sometimes in terms of sophisticated work. My son is a lawyer. And he tells me that a lot of the work that entry level lawyers used to do, writing briefs, doing certain types of research, that can be done much more efficiently with AI. And law firms and organizations that have legal counsel are using that tool in order to get that work done. So in one of the bad factors that's happening right now, or sort of negative factors, is that the work is getting transferred to other folks. The second thing is that a lot of the folks who are in the organization and who would normally have been retiring are not retiring. And that's a function of the economic reality. So people who may have planned to retire are choosing to stick around a bit longer. And that's a very, very significant number, actually. I think it was 1 in 10 people. I mean, it was 6 in 10 people who were retirement age were planning to retire. And this is just a year and a half ago data, right? Now, out of those people, only 1 in 10 are actually planning to retire on their original retirement date. So the people that can extend that are extending it. That means that there are more senior people who are putting downward pressure on that entry level work, because they're sticking around doing their work, and these folks are not able to, everyone is not able to get up in the normal sense to the higher work. So a lot of different, that's why I call it a confluence. There's like a lot of factors that are happening at the same time. And what we're talking about is critically important, because this is a way for young people to bridge the gap, right? By establishing relationships, it helps you to extend your own capacity. So if you're a smart guy, Ken, you go into the organization and you work really hard and put in your effort, and you're going to get a certain outcome from that effort. And with all of these pressures, that effort may not go as far as it possibly could because of the pressures. Now, if you add some relationships, that may help you to extend your capacity. You may find smarter ways to do things. You may get access to other opportunities in the organization that you could not find on your own, and therefore keep your career sort of moving. And that's why these things are important. People that are mentors and mentees get through the system at a far better rate than those who do not. In fact, 5 times, the factor is 5 times the rate of promotion for people who have a mentor versus the people who don't have a mentor. So this is not just kind of, fun and game stuff. This is, this is serious stuff that has a real impact on career outcomes. And that's why I emphasize it with the young people that I am involved with. And I spend a lot of time mentoring. I normally maintain 15 to 20 mentees. And for me, mentoring is not a perfunctory thing. It's very, very serious. I get to know the individual. I get to know their strengths and weaknesses. I give them very real time and serious, candid input on how they're doing and what they are and are not doing, where they can improve. And this is the quality of mentorship that we need to be moving to. And of course, even with sponsors, we need to be moving to engage with young people to know them better. And the better we know them, the better we can represent them.
And also, these people, you could spot the quality individuals, and that 5-10 years from now, you're going to be doing business with these people. They're going to be executives on their own. You could tell, I'm sure, being a CEO, right? I mean, that I'm sure you say, this guy's going to be in charge, she's going to be in charge. And these are great connections, and people don't forget that you help them on the way up when they become executives themselves. I'm friends with a lot of people in the business today who always check in on me, and you just spot talent. You see it. It's just automatic. It's something that in some cases it grows, but in more often than not, it's there. It's innate, and it's just a drive in them. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We got to hit a commercial break, but please give us a website for more information, Baron.
I would say go to my site, which is www.theblackexec.com, theblackexec.com. So go see that. We've got information and resources for you.
Well, when I talk to you, all I hear is wisdom. And I think anybody who does not go to you for resources to get into a career is just not thinking, period. So, Baron Witherspoon, Sr., CEO and founder of the Black Exec LLC. God bless you, my friend. Thank you very much for coming on. And let's hope that these young people today trying to get jobs that they can get in. It's just such a tough field right now. Thank you so much, Baron.
Thank you, Ken. Have a great day.
You as well, sir. Thank you. 746 right now, East Coast, 446 West. When we come back, consumers are still shopping, but they're becoming much more selective about where they spend their money. Mornings resident fashionista Don Del Russo will be along to explain. We're back in 2. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is 49 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast for your city.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike, what are we looking at for the Northeast, for the Southwest, and for the Southeast? Boy, we'll just ignore Seattle.
Well, they typically have rain most of the year, but we will look ahead to a nice dry day today. Sun is shining across New Jersey, as is the case in Florida and Southern California, but the humidity is vastly different. We're kind of the happy medium Goldilocks in between. The humidity is raging right now down along the Gulf Coast, whereas the heat is on with that dry heat in the desert Southwest. Our forecast for the next few days features a little bit of a wet pattern setting up for tomorrow, but that clears out beautifully by Friday. And then it returns on Saturday with Monday looking dry once more. So we're kind of back and forth every other day. flipping the switch between the dry weather and the wet weather. As far as the forecast for the short term, you see all of the clear sky today. It looks beautiful through this evening, nice and pleasant. And then, even though the humidity is rather high today, we get some storms that roll through tomorrow. Non-severe, just the general run-of-the-mill wet weather on your Thursday. But Friday clears out beautifully before the clouds and showers return again for Saturday and to start off Sunday. Into the first few days of September, we'll likely have average temperatures, which is mid to upper 80s this time of year, even low 80s at times, with all of that cool weather just off to our west. But it's the heat that remains for the south and east, even through the first few days of September. Going into the last few days of August, the rain chances might be a little bit higher as our drought has improved significantly. Most of it is over across New Jersey, even Florida improving with some just abnormally dry weather, Ken.
All right. Abnormally dry. Well, I mean, I like abnormally dry, but I don't know if Mother Nature's going to like abnormally dry. We'll keep our fingers crossed. There we go. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate you, sir. It is 72 degrees northern New Jersey, 66 in Trenton, and in Los Angeles, 69, 70 degrees now in San Diego, as we say, from Anchorman. 51 minutes past the hour, and consumers are still shopping, but they're becoming much more selective about where they spend their money, from fashion to beauty. Shoppers are researching more, comparing prices, and asking whether a purchase is really worth it. Joining us is fashion expert Dawn Del Russo of livetheglamour.com. That's Live the Glamour, glamour with an O-U-R, to explain how changing consumer habits are forcing retailers to rethink how they earn their sale. Good morning to you, Dawn.
Good morning, Ken. Yeah, it's I mean, I think we're all seeing the changes in the economy with everything. July had a drop of 0.2% for retail.
Wow.
So that says a lot. I mean, it doesn't, like a 0.2% to most doesn't sound that big, but it really is. And it shows that consumer behavior is changing. And I think we're seeing it everywhere, not just in fashion, across all shopping. But the economic uncertainty, I think, is definitely the top reason, and higher prices. The prices of everything are just almost overwhelming. I think we're all kind of walking around saying, like, is this really the price? Is this staying at this price? So in fashion, that's like the first place people go to, fashion and beauty, to kind of drop off a little bit and say, maybe I'm not going to spend here. It's that income they don't need to spend. They need to spend it on more priority items. So when they are going into stores and they're saying, am I going to buy these new sneakers or shoes or getting kids ready for back to school? How are they spending? What are they spending on? And maybe more valuable quality items.
Well, the other thing too is people forget that polyester is made from oil, right? Buttons are made from oil. They're plastic. Anything plastic based like that is made from oil. And guess what? You have a chunk of the world's oil supply that's held up right now in the Middle East and not coming through the Strait of Hormuz. So that's going to drive the price up. And then, of course, the price of oil is going to cost more at the pump, which means that the way of transporting the items to the stores is more expensive, and they pass that on to us. So everything's a little more expensive. Not for anything, President Trump, and I'm a big supporter, President Trump said that he would, once we lower oil prices, gas prices, everything else is going to come down because it's involved in the cost of delivery of everything. Well, Mr. President, we got to get you to push it along a little bit because I think we're all kind of up to here with prices. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's exactly. And it's a circle, like no one realizes how it all trickles down. And people are upset or fighting over what the prices of everything are, but that is really the reason. It's not just because they want to charge higher prices of everything.
Right.
Everybody is affected, and it comes down the line. And we get stuck in a place of saying, where do we go? Where do I go from here? Do I spend the money on filling my car up, or am I going to buy that new dress? I need food in my refrigerator. I maybe don't need these new items. So there is a big struggle here in deciding how to spend the money. And even when it comes down to that, it's like, is it worth it? Is there so much value? Can I hold off on spending certain things? And I think that's why July, specifically in the summertime, we really did see the decline. And then that can carry over too. So we don't know if that's going to be the next 5 months into the end of the year, where we're going to go with that. And vice versa, it hurts the economy that way too, because if people are not spending on these type of items, everybody is affected that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are consumers then looking for before spending more on fashion or beauty purchase? Are they looking for quality? Are they looking for something that's going to last a long time, or are they looking just the opposite for something super cheap they don't care about? Like maybe my underwear doesn't have to be the high end big name. Maybe it's going to be the cheap stuff that'll only last a little bit, but I'm only going to spend $4 for a pair of underwear. I mean, I'm serious, because it could go in either extreme, couldn't it?
It can, and that is the difference that we're seeing, is the gap. For a very long time, people weren't really worried about quality, and I think there was more on that. Let me just get them, and it's cheap. This is inexpensive. I'll buy it, and we'll be fine. But when the quality is not there, you end up spending more. So
Mhm.
what's happening is they're buying, the socks that maybe were a lot cheaper in a dollar store, but then they don't last. And so now they're buying them 3, 4, 5 times. They're a dollar, but they already spent $15 because they're buying so many pairs versus that more expensive pair of the quality that's going to last them over the next few years even. And it doesn't, it goes for all types of items. And I think consumers are a lot more savvy and they're thinking about that stuff. They're also thinking about stuff that's going to have a longer effect. Maybe they can have it for 15 to 20 years. They can pass it down. They're also going back into some of the things we talked about with resale. So they're looking at the items that maybe aren't polyester, they're better quality, they're cottons and linens that last over time and aren't affected. And they're going into these vintage stores or these going on resale shops and finding items that way. So they are getting the quality, they are getting the better designers brands, but for less, because they're shopping on sites like that. And that's why we went back and talked a little bit about that last time, is because the economy is affected by so many different things. And it's like you mentioned with oil, those things change so much. Even with denim, the denim production uses so much water. That's like one of the biggest things that we talk about in the industry, is how much denim uses water just to produce it. So they're saying go and buy something that maybe was pre-owned or pre-used that can help with that as well.
I mean, you think about it, denim is cotton, but it's a lot of cotton. It's layers and layers and layers. That's why it's so thick and so heavy. And when it was invented, I guess Mr. Levi and Strauss, the brothers, we kid about it, but that they really did invent it back in the 1800s, and it was meant for what, cowboys and people like that, because they needed to be able to wash clothing. They used to wear leather stuff on the outside, the gauchos and whatnot, when they worked with animals, so the pants wouldn't rip. But then they were able to wear something cotton that was just as heavy and dense that could be washed, and hence we got you gotta look. I love looking this stuff up, but
I know.
and that's where that came from. But that's why denim is could be expensive, because the
Yeah.
good denim jeans last a long time, or jackets or whatnot. They do last a long time because they're built to last, right?
I think that fast fashion is going to, that denim that lasted, and the reason why it was made out of good quality and it was made out of cotton was because it lasted and these people needed it to not fall apart. And the
Right.
more over the last like 10, 15 years, fast fashion was everything. Like buy the shirt that's $10 and it's gonna fall apart after 2 washes, but you have the trend. I think we're getting away from that. I think we're moving. I'm
Mhm.
happy if we're moving away from that, because I think it was a little bit too much, and it created a lot more throwaway items, things that were never worn again. And we're seeing it where, even that is a problem, because now we have that massive stock of items that are just not being used anymore, when the good quality stuff, we did see it return, it lasted, they were able to pass it down. And that goes for not just clothing. If you think about it, a lot of merchandise, like home type items, we for generations passed things down. Good quality cabinets and furniture lasted ages, and you had your grandmother's furniture, and now they made so much fast pieces that didn't last.
Mhm.
And that affects everything. I think I personally think that
Yeah.
creating it
I'm
was
with you.
good, but
Yeah,
You
it
know,
looks good for a second. You don't want the stuff that looks good for a second. You want the stuff that you can
exactly.
pass on to the grandkids. The
Exactly.
website is livetheglamour.com. That's glamour with an O-U-R. Morning's resident fashionista, the queen of fashionistas, by the way. You should wear the tiara every now and then. Dawn Del Russo. We love when you come on, Dawn. Thank you for coming on again. We'll see you in a week.
Thanks, Ken. You too.
You bet. It is 8 o'clock for those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast. Stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, we'll be right back live with New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Thanks for watching. And a very good morning. It is 8:02 on Wednesday, August 19th. Welcome back. This is on New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike. So what are we looking at? More heat, more humidity, yeah, the sticky stuff?
Yeah, the humidity. That's exactly correct. Because you step outside and the bright sunshine may blind you. It'll look beautiful today. Lots of clear sky lasting through this afternoon, and the temperature's not terribly warm. We're cooling off a little bit even this morning, starting off at 63 up in Sussex. That's a nice, pleasant start. Almost feeling like early September. Dew points are drier in northern New Jersey, still pretty high down toward the coast, so it feels more humid at the beaches this morning. But through this afternoon, you'll notice a nice drier feel there in the hills in northern New Jersey towards Sussex, 11 degrees cooler than this time yesterday, but about the same temperature that it was this time yesterday at the beaches. Clear sky all across the state lasts through the afternoon, so the futurecast shows lots of sunshine. Temperatures climbing into the low 80s today. It'll feel lovely at the beaches, maybe low 90s up to the north and east. However, by tomorrow, that's where the clouds roll in. Rain starts during the morning, probably during the tail end of the morning rush with some storms, and lasts right through the afternoon, even down by the beaches. So it is not a day to head to the beach on your Thursday. However, Friday looks beautiful. It'll be dry, it'll be sunny, it'll feel lovely with a comfortably pleasant air in place. And with that temperature staying in the 70s, it feels kind of like typical Southern California weather on Friday. Saturday brings back the clouds and showers through the morning and afternoon, and some of those showers linger into Sunday morning, but I think they clear out by later on in the day. So a little bit of wet weather arriving tomorrow, dry and gorgeous on Friday, and then Saturday sees a return to that rain. But next week dries out and turns cooler. but not too cool. So it'll be a nice, pleasant finish to the last full week in August. We'll tell you more about it coming up, Ken, in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mike. It is 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. We do have a lot of traffic to tell you about. First, let's go to the Garden State Parkway, shall we? We have a crash and a vehicle off the roadway on the Garden State Parkway express lanes southbound, north of exit 120. This is, oh, of course the camera went out. Pam and I had this great camera shot. They zoomed in and everything, showing the vehicle off the roadway. But, oh, there it is. It's back. All right. So, oh, and then it went out again. See, these cameras, the way they work remotely, and sometimes the signal goes in and out. It's not a wired camera. It's transmitting. So that's why it goes on and off, depending on how strong the signal is. So, all right, but you could see, at least you got a glimpse of it. Pam, you could switch over to, it's 295 northbound tunnel entrance if you want to grab that one. But anyway, that vehicle that you just saw, this is by exit 120, Lawrence Harbor and Old Bridge, all lanes open, but people are tapping the brakes as they go past. Now let's go to 295 if we can. There is a crash. This is just showing a little bit of volume and slowdown, but right near here, there is a crash. And this is by 295 northbound exit 29, Route 30, Barrington. 2 left lanes of 3 lanes are closed. These people are actually exiting off, going into that direction. So that's why you can see the exit ramp. They're slowing down a little bit, but we'll keep an eye on that for you. Over to the Turnpike, we have a debris spill on the New Jersey Turnpike inner roadway southbound, north of interchange 8A, which is Route 32 in South Brunswick. The center lane is blocked, and that's always a problem because people veer off to the side lanes. So we'll see what happens with that. That is on the New Jersey Turnpike. We have some slowdowns that are non-accident related, just some congestion. Boy, oh boy, before we even hit the Hudson River crossings, which are all a mess today. On I-78, we have delays on local lanes westbound from east of exit 50, which is Vauxhall Road Union, to west of exit 49, Route 124, Springfield Ave in Springfield Township. All lanes are open, but again, it's just volume. A lot of people slow there. On the Pulaski Skyway, we have delays now northbound from Broadway to 1 and 9 truck route in Jersey City. All lanes open. Again, just very, very heavy traffic making your way through. And then in terms of Hudson River crossings, what a mess. Let's start off with the Holland Tunnel. We're told 45 minutes solid into the Holland. This is Route 139 from the Turnpike. Look at this mess. This is just a disaster. Just stopped traffic. They're not moving an inch. Holland Tunnel in Jersey City from 139 Turnpike into the tubes, not moving at all. We'll let Pam rack up the Lincoln Tunnel. This is not good because the Lincoln Tunnel had an earlier problem. Don't know if this got fixed yet. There was an overheight. No, it did not. An overheight tractor trailer that was trying to get into the mouth of the tunnel. And guess what? It couldn't. And behind it, of course, there's 10 trillion other vehicles. So how do you get the damn thing out? So you have an overheight tractor trailer. They're supposed to know before they enter the helix. There's a sign. If they are overheight, they're supposed to get off by Weehawken. And apparently they did not. So that tractor trailer went right to the mouth of the tunnel. Look at this mess. It is over an hour. It's probably likely closer to 90 minutes now, making your way into the Lincoln Tunnel. I would avoid that at all costs. See, the only lane moving there is the bus lane coming toward us. That's really it. Everybody else is sort of crawling along. Look at how far back it goes. They're showing us that back shot because it goes all the way around where 495 meets Route 3. And that is an absolute mess. Right there, that's 60 to 90 minimum to get into the Lincoln Tunnel. It's just a mess. As a result of those two problems, let's go to the GWB. We like to pronounce it the GWB. Now, this is a different camera angle they're showing us right now. This is a much better angle than before, but this is pointing away. See the vehicle's coming toward us right now. Okay, they're the ones going into the city. That's moving pretty well, but this is like over 3 miles behind where this is where they get into Manhattan. So it doesn't look so bad. But apparently the GWB is your best bet. That's going to cost you 40 to 45 minutes in. All right, it is now 9 minutes after 8 o'clock. We go to meteorologist Mike Favetta again, and I'd like to talk to Mike a little bit about the incredible amounts of heat and humidity in South Florida that we just had, a record breaker. Now, having lived there full time, normally what would happen is, and we've always talked about this, I know you know many of the meteorologists in South Florida. Um, when I used to work for Channel 4 down there for CBS 4 in Miami, WFOR, I remember our meteorologists would talk about the fact that when temperatures got to a certain point, you would get a
Hmm.
thunderstorm. And it was sort of built into the weather phenomena that occurred in South Florida. You got into the mid 90s, the big nimbus clouds, you get those 100,000 foot high nimbus clouds would build up, and then you'd get severe thunderstorms, and everything would cool down by about 5 or 10 degrees, and boom, there you
Right.
go. And then even though it would be
Yeah.
sticky, it would cool down. How did that not happen this time? And how did we get up to 100 degrees in Miami before we saw anything like that happen?
So, like you had mentioned, it's built into the daily physics of Florida. So, the limits of physics are that when the temperature reaches a certain threshold, that's when the clouds, like you said, tower up high in the sky and allow for that release. The difference with the forecast yesterday and the weather scenario that occurred in South Florida is I showed you the maps before. There was this big high pressure anchored just off the coast, basically over the Bahamas. And that prevents that thunderstorm development because with a thunderstorm, you need rising air that cools with height. The problem is with high pressure that the definition of it's sinking air aloft. And so as those two were combating each other, that couldn't allow the thunderstorm to grow higher, and that would not allow for those storms to form and naturally cool things down that would normally be the case on any given day in Florida. So it was a rare scenario of all of these elements combined that allowed the temperature to get so hot.
Love it. Our dear friend Brian Norcross, meteorologist supreme from South Florida, would applaud you, sir, professor, for that definition. I remember he was the one who used to talk about it. He's worked at every station in South Florida at some point. Now he's on
Yes.
Fox Weather. He's literally because he's non-discriminatory when it comes to his brilliance, and he is a brilliant forecaster, as you know, meteorologist. And Norcross, I had the pleasure of working with at WFOR, and he didn't explain that you just did so eloquently, but he would explain, why we would get this thunderstorms into the mid
Hmm.
90s. But that makes total sense. So it was that rare confluence of everything that caused the temperature to peak up that little tiny bit. But it's also probably more of an indication that things in our weather world and on the planet Earth are changing, and we should all
Yeah,
keep an eye.
it's true because you look at the longer trend, right? So a lot of the information we show, even for the Viking weather forecasts, we go back and look at the mosquito population going
Mhm.
back to the 1970s and how much hotter it's been more recently. Then climate is different than weather. And so you look at the longer term going back 30, 40 years. The definition is only 30 years, but even still, it's almost like the goalposts change every 30 years. I was sitting at the command center at the New York City Marathon this past November, and sitting there with my meteorologist, and we're looking and we're like, wait a minute, why is it that the forecast seems like it's not as hot, in terms of the climate record as it has been? Oh, because we've been doing this event more than 15 years, and so every 10 years the new data set comes out, and it's actually been warmer the last 10 years versus 10 years prior. And so it just goes to show that every 10 years it looks like it's getting a little warmer, and that's being reflected in the climate record. And when you throw another 100-degree record in there in Miami, it kind of adds, more proof to the pudding.
Absolutely does. Just gives us an idea of what's going on. So, all right. Well, we appreciate you always, sir, and always with your brilliant input to explain that. Thank you very much, Mike.
You bet.
Thank you, sir. All right. It is 8:14 right now, and in just a moment, we have, let's see, where am I going? I'm sorry. I didn't fast forward. I see. There you go. All right. So we will be talking with Kelly Roach, founder of the Kelly Roach International, author of Call to Lead, and Kelly will be coming up in just a moment. So don't go away. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:16. We'll take your calls, 888-658-0234. Sun and some clouds today, highs mid-80s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a full detailed Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike. So looking outside right now, it is 72 northern New Jersey and 70 in
Hmm.
Trenton. Certainly not as hot as yesterday at this time.
No, and not as humid either. It cooled off
Mhm.
just a touch. Had a few sprinkles that came through last night. Felt very muggy, like the air was thick when you stepped outside yesterday afternoon. But today, not so much. It'll feel a little bit better and slightly drier through this afternoon. Temperatures still make it back into the mid 80s today, but I think after tomorrow's rain, we get a nice, refreshing, dry breeze that'll make it feel lovely. So northern New Jersey starts off with the dry weather right now. Tomorrow, as early as tonight, going through tomorrow, a little bit of a breeze off of the water, and that'll bump up these dew points back into the 70s and even some mid 60s inland. So it'll feel humid for tomorrow morning and through the afternoon. But then look what happens here with the color change back to that shade of yellow across the northern part of the state. That brings in the dry weather, lovely, clear air, even down toward the shore points and the beaches. It'll feel great to start off our weekend, even though it rains on Saturday morning, but it improves going through the first part of next week. So today, UV index back at a 7, which is high. I think we're done with the very high UV for the summer, as we are far beyond the summer solstice. And now even going into, well, a good 2 months actually past the summer solstice. So looking ahead into the rest of this week, have some sunshine today, clouds later on this evening, but it's the rain tomorrow. That's pretty widespread across New Jersey. Wet weather all day long, and then gorgeous on Friday with that refreshingly dry feel, temperatures in the mid 80s, feeling very pleasant. Saturday starts off dry but cloudy, and then the rain moves in by the afternoon, and some of those showers linger into Saturday night and even Sunday morning. Very isolated and scattered, but it clears out by Monday. So an improvement to the weekend quickly by Sunday night, because we have beautiful weather on the way, starting Monday, lasting for the better part of next week. We'll tell you more about that cooler trend ahead, Ken, coming up with the 7-day forecast.
All right, sir. By the way, we have 3 national days today, like we did
Oh, what are
yesterday.
they?
So we have National Aviation Day, and I know you're an aviation fan as I am.
Uh-huh.
It seems like everybody into meteorology is an aviation fan, and vice versa. I noticed they
Mm-hmm.
kind of go hand in hand. It is National Potato Day, National Potato Day. I love me my potatoes. I don't know about you. I must have been Irish in another life because I could have potatoes 17 million ways. I love potatoes. And it is National, ooh, I get excited. I just got a little twinge. It is National Soft Serve Ice Cream Day.
Oh, look at that. Just in time. One of our favorite ice cream shops just launched an app. So very excited to earn those points quickly because we're there like once a month. It's a regular thing. And speaking of next week when we're off, taking the family down to Belmar, and there are so many shops there along the beach that you could check out for your favorite soft serve. So
There
that's
you
exciting.
go. There
Hmm.
you go. So I expect you to gain at least 20 pounds before you get back the week after, sir, with the
Well,
family. Take
there's a lot
the
of
little ones.
walking. When you're running around, chasing the children, there's a lot of activity. So you burn it off
Yes,
quickly.
a lot of calorie burning. All right, Mike, much appreciated, sir. Thank you
You bet.
so much. It is now 72 degrees at 8:20. That in northern New Jersey, 70 in Trenton. It is 69 degrees at Cape May, 74 degrees in Vineland. And in terms of traffic, we have a couple of things we have to tell you about. Let's go over to the Garden State Parkway. We have a crash and vehicle off the roadway, GSP Express lane southbound north of exit 120, Lawrence Harbor in Old Bridge Township. All lanes open, but you can see the vehicle off on the shoulder there, just as people are passing, they're tapping their brakes. Here's a problem we do have, though. This is on 295. There's a crash northbound by exit 29, Route 30, Barrington. We have one lane closed, and you can see the tunnel shot that we have here, just showing some volume as people build through. Do we still have that? Maybe we don't. No, that's not the one. Nope. Nope. It's the I-76/42295 northbound tunnel, camera number 2. It's the one. Thank you, Pam. So this is what that's causing. So we have a crash. This is 295 northbound at exit 29. One lane is closed, and that's causing this backup right through the tube, right through the tunnel. In terms of Hudson River crossings, this is a nightmare. We start at the Holland Tunnel, which is 139 going from the turnpike into the tube, and you could see traffic is bumper to bumper right now. Look at the folks there going into the right tube. They're stopped. The cars that are moving are going to the local lanes in Jersey City, so they're not going into the tunnel. The cars going into the tunnel are stopped, and that's going to cost you over 45 minutes in. Lincoln Tunnel right now is an absolute mess. It's been this way for the entire morning, and that's because we have an overheight tractor trailer stuck at the tube. So that's causing a 4-mile backup. It's going to cost you between 60 and 90 minutes minimum to get into the Lincoln Tunnel. Avoid the Lincoln Tunnel unless you're on one of those express buses that are moving. Avoid the Lincoln Tunnel at all costs. GWB is a good bet. GWB is down to about 40 minutes. That's really a good bet. And at least you're outside. You don't feel like confined in the tubes or anything. So this is a wide shot from 2.5 to 3 miles back, but you can see things are moving there. That is definitely the way to go to get into Manhattan. It is 22 minutes after 8. For generations, women have been told they have to choose between ambition and a meaningful personal life. And with Women's Equality Day coming up August 26th, Kelly Roach, founder of Kelly Roach International and author of Called to Lead, is challenging that idea and encouraging women to define success on their own terms. We welcome Kelly and say good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's so great to be with you today.
And it's good that we're not stuck in any of that traffic that we just had. My goodness, much
I
better
was,
this way.
I saw that. How lucky are we?
Exactly. Do the remote broadcast. This is the way to go.
Yeah.
Kelly, why do women still feel they have to choose between ambition and family in 2026?
I think that women are still learning what is truly possible. And to your point that you just mentioned, so many women now have realized that they can build a wildly successful business and career from home while still being available and present for their families, and that they truly can have it all in the era of today. But a lot has changed. We have a lot of things at our fingertips that weren't available many years ago. And so I think it's just getting the message out, which is actually why I'm here speaking with you today, to let women know you can have it all. And women are balancing a beautiful, rich home life and building successful careers now.
So you built not one, not two, but 6 companies while you homeschooled your daughter. So what has that experience taught you about redefining success, and what do people need to take away from that?
I think we all just need to decide what success looks like for us and say no to everything that is not that. I think a lot of women still struggle to ask for help when they need it. And one of the essential parts of being able to be a present and invested parent and also have a successful career is getting help, right? Whether that's in the home, running errands, cleaning, cooking, whatever it is. I think just knowing all the resources that we now have available and bringing everything together to allow you to do the things that matter most to you and get help on the areas that you can leverage and save time.
And you tell women to stop waiting to be picked. So in other words, be proactive, I'm assuming is what that means. So give us an idea of what that looks like in practice.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just mentioned my situation. I built 6 companies. I work from home. I'm in literally my home office right now. My daughter's sitting about 15 feet away with my husband right now as he's having a cup of coffee. And we have this life now where we can be on the news in 5 minutes, and then 15 minutes later, we can be helping our children with their math lesson, right? And so I think that it's just realizing that the way of the world has changed so much, and no one's going to come to you and serve it to you on a silver platter. You have to say, what's possible? What do I really want out of my life? And you have to go and create that.
Yeah, but this is not something that's just handed to you on a silver platter. It involves work, right? So what is the unglamorous work behind the scenes and behind real success look like? How does a person get out of bed right now and say, I'm going to start a company? What do they do to start things off?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to look at what are the talent, the skill, and the capability that you have that people would be willing to pay money to access, whether it's knowledge, it's expertise, it's services. What do you know and understand that other people don't, that they would be willing to pay to access? And now with social media, we have a megaphone to the world 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for free, to be able to start going live, creating content, sharing our knowledge and expertise, and then inviting people to contact us to learn about what we're offering. And for me, I started my first business on my lunch break because I was a full-time executive. I couldn't walk away from, supporting my family and making that income. And so I would literally go out to my car on my lunch break and build my business in 1 hour a day. So I think it's all about starting from where you are with what you've got. You're right. It's hard work. It's sacrifice, but it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, you're the type of person who looks at every minute of the day as a resource, right? You don't waste that resource. If you have 4 free minutes, use those 4 free minutes for XYZ. A lot of people don't view life that way. And that's why there's a difference between a successful person and someone who's not. Am I wrong?
You're absolutely right. And I just wrote a whole book on it. It was a USA Today bestseller book that came out just a couple months ago called The Miracle Hour. And it is 1 hour a day to making your dreams come true. And it's exactly the point that you're making. The people that are out there living a 1% life that look like they have it all or do have it all, they are so intentional about their time. They're not spending time doom scrolling on their phones. They're not wasting time and energy on things that don't align with their goals and dreams. They know what they want out of life. They make a plan to achieve it. And they work in the small windows and pockets of time that they have. And I think that's one of the biggest disconnects that people have. They think, oh, well, if I have children at home and I can only work on my business 30 minutes a day or an hour a day, it's not worth doing. That's not true. Everyone starts from where they are with what they've got. So making a little bit of progress on an incremental basis day to day is still going to make it 100 times more likely that you're going to get to your goal. And if you choose not to do anything because the circumstances aren't perfect, you completely eliminate the possibility of success.
It's like people who say, oh, we're not ready to have kids yet. We're not making enough money or whatever. There's never a right time, right? You're always going to have issues. So just go forward. Tell us a website so people can get more information and find out more about you, Kelly.
Absolutely. You can go to www.kellyroachinternational.com. And the Miracle Hour book is right on Amazon. One click if you're ready to get started making your dreams come true and you want to see what 1 hour a day can do for you.
I love it. Women's Equality Day is coming up on August 26th. That should be a motivating time for people too. Kelly Roach, founder of Kelly Roach International, author of Call to Lead as well, right? Thank you so much for coming on this morning. We appreciate you and all your motivation. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. It is now 8:29. When we come back, golf can open doors both on and off the course, and the Advocates Professional Golf Association, APGA, is working to create more opportunities for underrepresented golfers. We're going to talk about it in 2 minutes. Very good morning, Wednesday, August 19th, 2026, 74 degrees right now, 8:31. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike, we're looking at a little less humidity.
Yeah, it'll feel lovely. A little drier forecast ahead. It gets really dry by Friday, though. Today is like a transition day with the clear sky working its way through. Just a few low clouds here passing over the turnpike, and then we'll be all sunshine for the rest of the day. So very pleasant weather, even down the shore, where highs reach the mid-80s today. A little touch more humidity at the beaches, but overall not as humid as yesterday, even with a light breeze through this afternoon. So that keeps the bug meter on the moderate level, especially with the flying insects, not only the mosquitoes, but also the lanternflies, since it's that season starting up. You see them jumping around. But throughout the afternoons, the grass pollen's also a little bit higher. A lot of the lawns being cut make for quite a bit of extra allergens in the atmosphere. Average high today reaches 85 degrees, so we're right around average, but it's the sunrise and sunset time that keeps shortening, with the daylight hours quickly becoming shorter as we head into the start of fall, which is just over a month away. Say it ain't so. Temperatures at the beaches, water temperatures warming very nicely into the upper 70s. This is basically the max you'll get at the beaches all year round, approaching 80, but not quite. So excellent weather to take a dip, even a low risk of rip currents at the beaches, so that's nice news. With the rain chances going back up higher tomorrow, we're dry on Friday. In fact, there's not a cloud in the sky, but the weekend sees a little bit of rain, especially on Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning, and then by Monday and Tuesday, back to sunny, dry weather with temperatures cooling off into the 70s. So a really pretty forecast ahead to start off next week. Just have to make it through this little bit of rain tomorrow that comes along a weak front, and as that pushes through, we clear out beautifully by Friday morning, lots of sunshine all day long. And then by Saturday and Sunday, another low rides up the coast that gives us a little bit more rain into the start of the weekend, lingers into Sunday, but then Monday looks nice again. So the 7-day forecast details it nicely. Notice the slide in temperatures going from the upper 80s today down to the low 80s by this weekend, and we stay in the low 80s but bring the sunshine back on Monday and Tuesday, even the overnight lows in the 60s. So a little taste of September around the corner with some 70s on the way for Monday and Tuesday as the high. That will feel lovely down at the beaches by next weekend.
Num, 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 num. I'm not talking to you because you mentioned
September, I
fall.
know.
I'm not
Yeah,
talking to you. You
it's
said
so
we
close.
got almost. Yeah, I'm telling you,
Uh-huh.
you have to take me up on the idea of all of us taking the show to the Southern Hemisphere
Mm.
starting next month. So we'll start with springtime in Australia, and Good Day Brisbane. I think that's going to be the name of the show. Good Day Brisbane.
Getting
Well, I mean, we
Brisbane.
could feed New Jersey via the internet thingy, right? What's the difference? No one
Uh-huh.
will know the difference.
Sure.
All right,
Yeah,
it'll be our
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
secret. All right, we'll work on that. Thank you, Mike. We'll check back, sir. 72 degrees northern New Jersey. It's now 70 degrees even in Trenton, 69 in Cape May, and 74 degrees in Vineland. In terms of traffic, let's go straight to the Hudson River crossings. Route 139 at the Holland Tunnel approach is stopped. Look at this bumper-to-bumper mess making your way from the turnpike into the tubes. It's going to cost you a solid 45 minutes in. We go over to the Lincoln Tunnel, not much better. We had an overheight tractor trailer stuck in the middle tube. And look at this mess. This is 90 minutes into the Lincoln Tunnel as a result. Just an absolute disaster. Even the bus lanes are crawling right now. The bus lane is crawling. Just an absolute mess. Avoid the Lincoln Tunnel at all costs. This is, yeah, even the other way, Pam is pointing out, because you have rubbernecking traffic for people heading out of the city as well. So it's just an absolute mess. That whole area is a disaster right now. Best bet, GWB. Wide open, and it's actually moving pretty well. It's only going to cost you about 20 to 30 minutes. And this is this is the 3 mile point. So it's hard to tell the real trafficy point. The trafficy point is 1 mile. That camera is out this morning, but nonetheless, that's your best bet in 20 to 30 minutes GWB. 8:36 is our time. Golf. When I mention that name, that word, my father gets all excited. He is a huge golfer, even at 96. Golf can open doors both on and off the course, and Advocates Professional Golf Association, APGA, is working to create more opportunities for underrepresented golfers. The APGA Tour provides competitive opportunities for professional players while also investing in the next generation through youth golf initiatives, because it's expensive. It's hard. A lot of kids from the inner city never get the opportunity to ever see a golf club or play golf. So this is what you got to do. Got to get them out there. Joining us is Solomon Hughes, Chief Operating Officer of the APGA, to talk about the organization's mission, its growing tour, and upcoming stop at the Baltusrol in Springfield with the MasterCard Tour. That's happening August 25th through the 27th. Good morning, Solomon.
Morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on. And this is because golf is expensive. Golf courses are fewer and further between than other means of sports, etc. It really is and has traditionally limited access to people who have the money and who have the resources to play the game, correct?
Yeah, golf is an incredible game. It can teach you so many lessons on the course, but also off the course. And so at the APGA, we're all about inspiring an inclusive future through the game of golf, and fortunate through great partners like we have at Baltusrol, like we have at MasterCard and Cisco, to give guys who have the ability, but maybe not necessarily always have the resources and opportunity to compete at the highest level.
Well, my dad, who is now 96 years old, has been saying since I was a baby, he's been saying that golf is the type of game you could play until you drop dead. And many people do drop dead on a golf course. And they're happy. My father has said this a million times. If that's where I go, I will go with a smile on my face. For him, just looking out on the fairway, the greens, seeing that beautiful land, for him is everything. And I think for a lot of golfers, that's the case. But golf is more not just playing the game, and it's a type game that you could play your entire life and never get good at, right? But
Yeah.
it's about the association. You're talking with other people, you're spending time associating, you're having conversation, you conduct business. There's a lot to golf that a lot of people who, again, are in underrepresented groups never get the opportunity of, and this is why APGA exists.
It does. And, beyond just the scores on the scorecard at Baltusrol next week, we're actually going to St. Benedict's Preparatory School there in Newark to bring 6 of our players to go and visit with their students and talk about just what you're talking about. How can you utilize golf to become a better business professional, to maybe get a college scholarship, and really utilize the game to take you so many far places in life.
100%. Talk about some of the success stories that we've seen from APGA players.
You talk about golf being a lifetime game. One of our alumni, Tim O'Neill, actually is playing on the PGA Tour Champions full time. He played the APGA Tour a number of years, and in 2023 made it through Q School. Probably one of the hardest Q schools. They only take, I think, 3 to 5 players at the time, and is a full-time player there. One of our participants early this year played the U.S. Open at Shinnecock. More than 200 starts on tour, and our guys really are some of the best out there.
That's awesome. What do you first do? You go into, as you mentioned, you're going into the prep school in Newark. How do you approach a kid who maybe has had no experience, no exposure to golf, and get them interested in this very challenging game?
Every year we reach more than 3,500 kids through our youth clinics. And when I do those, the first thing I say is we want you guys to have a positive, fun connotation with golf. We may not find the next Tiger Woods today, but we can make sure that people have, nothing but positive memories and great experiences. So the name of the game is fun. We want you guys, when you pick up a club or think about golf, you have a positive experience. That's our first approach. And then talk about how you can utilize the game to progress in life.
Yeah. The amazing thing is, look, we have, football certainly is, America's big money sport. It's huge. Baseball has always been there. Basketball is certainly there. But golf has always existed with all those other sports. And as big as those other sports have gotten and always been, golf has existed and done well because there's a lot of, as the Italians like to say, a lot of scarole behind golf, right? It's the big corporations behind it. Big money behind golf because of all the business that gets conducted on those courses. So that is an essential thing that I think a lot of people just don't think about. They look at it as, oh, what is that slow moving game or whatever? No, it's really a multifaceted game because of that.
It is. And we're fortunate to have so many great partners and allies who help give that to our players in the form of professional development, teaching them how to get sponsors, how they can become a business professional, and You really can utilize the game in so many great ways, and we're fortunate to have such great partners and allies on our side who help our players both on and off the golf course. And I'm so excited to tee it up next week in our kind of season concluding championship at Baltusrol.
And it looks like, based on the forecast we heard from Mike Favetta, our meteorologist, you're going to have the most incredible weather next week. It's like flawless weather. Can people still take part in the MasterCard Tour Championship?
Yeah, so really encourage anyone who's interested to follow along online. We have live scoring every day. The first round is on Wednesday, and the final round will conclude on Thursday. And also follow us on social media. We're not live, but put so many clips out there to make it feel as if you're there. And a lot of our other events around the country encourage people to come on site if you've got interest. So really encourage people to follow along online or in person, and hope to see you at an APGA event soon.
What's your website, Solomon?
apgatour.org.
apgatour.org. Golf should be open to everyone. Let everyone learn about it, because it's a type of game that once you get started, I see it in my dad. My dad literally had 2 pennies in his pocket as a kid. The way he got hooked on it, he was 7 years old, and every one of he and his 8 brothers had to go out and work because the family had no money to eat, and they became caddies at 7, 8, 9 years old. That's what you could do that back then. And he became a caddy. He had these old white guys from Greenwich who would come up and say, "Here, son, here." As a result, my father's English, his mother and father didn't speak any English. My father's English sounds like he has Connecticut lockjaw because they basically helped raise him. But that's what the game of golf did for him. And now he is 96 and still in love with it. And everyone who gets into the game, it seems, gets hooked like that. It's amazing. All right, so it's the MasterCard Tour Championship at Baltusrol, Springfield, 25th through the 27th of September, correct? Is it September or August?
Yes, August, next week. Yeah, we're about a week
August,
out.
excuse me.
The first
Got my
round's a
month.
week from today.
All right. I don't know why I thought September. August. So that's coming up right away. And we thank you again for coming on. It sounds like an exciting thing. We love the APGA and what you're doing. Solomon Hughes, Chief Operating Officer of Advocates Professional Golf Association. Let golf be for everyone. Thank you so much for coming on. Please come back again.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you, sir. All right. What a great deal. And yeah, I'm just awful at it. But as my father always said, 90% of the people who play golf are awful at it. You just keep going. And even if you're awful at it, just spending a day on a golf course is a nice thing to do. When we come back, we will celebrate 2 young New Jersey performers who are getting a very special taste of the Broadway spotlight. That's back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 846, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
Sunshine, less humidity, mid to upper 80s. All sounds delish to me.
It does. Today looks amazing and even better for Friday, but it's that day in between, Ken. Tomorrow starts off a little wet, and we could get soaked with some rain down the shore, especially the 2 inches of rain that are forecast to fall down at the shore points with all that wet weather shown there in the shade of purple. Now, up north, where the drought is not as bad, in fact, it has ended, where the abnormally dry conditions remain. The good news is there's just a little bit of rain for you, so not even anticipating flooding with the amount of rain that comes in tomorrow. Still keeping an eye on those lanternflies as we enter the peak of lanternfly season. Mosquitoes are pretty bad too, but looking back at that rainfall map, you can see how much rain has fallen in the last 30 days. And even our friends at Viking tell us that all you need is a bottle cap of water in order for a mosquito larvae to survive. It is a tiny amount of water for that to continue and the mosquitoes to keep going throughout the rest of the season. So look at the northern half of the state, just abnormally dry. There's no drought there, and I think this will even improve over the next few weeks with the slightly drier weather down the shore, even that extreme drought, just the area around Atlantic City. So great weather ahead with the dry weather today, lots of sunshine, comfortable humidity, but it really turns more comfortable as we head into the weekend. And there's our rain chances or rainfall outlook for the next 2 weeks going through the end of August. Slightly higher than average with a little bit of cool weather setting up just off to our west. The real big heat is down toward the desert southwestern Florida. Next week starts off amazing. Even though this weekend looks a little bit wet, look what happens by Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures rebound into the low 80s only. Overnight lows dip down into the mid 60s. Probably wake up with some 50s up in northern New Jersey. But even the beaches faring very pleasant. Upper 70s there. So really fantastic weather ahead to start off the last week of August, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Nice way to end it, although I don't like the idea of ending August. It kind of makes me nervous, but thank you very much. All I think of is snow. That's the first thing I think of is snow. It's like we go from 80s and sunshine to snow. There's nothing in between. All right,
foliage
Mike. Yes.
before then. There's a little bit, right? Some fall foliage, some nice autumn colors, the apple cider. Oh, remember the pumpkin season? Can't skip ahead that.
Look at you,
Nah.
Mr. Positivity. Look at you. This is why you're a successful dad of 2, because you have to always look at the bright side. Me, I'm a curmudgeon. I say, it's going to be snowy. There you go. All right. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow, Mike. Thank you. 73 degrees, 849, 73 northern New Jersey, 70 in Trenton. It's 69 right now, Cape May, 74 degrees in Vineland. And in terms of traffic, just a couple of things to tell you about. We have an issue on the New Jersey Turnpike now. Disabled vehicle outside exit interchange 11 by the Garden State Parkway Woodbridge. Left lane is blocked there. Also on the GSP southbound, we have a disabled vehicle south of exit 137 in Cranford with all lanes open. Your Hudson River approaches are a mess. Lincoln and Holland, you don't have to show the Holland, Pam. Well, okay, or you can. She says too late. Her fingers are faster than my mouth. That is a mess. That is the Route 139 approach from the Turnpike into the Tube. Lincoln Tunnel is 90 minutes. That is an absolute disaster, and that's because of an earlier issue. An overheight tractor trailer is blocking the entrance to one of the tubes. As a result, look at this mess. And this stretches back 4 miles onto Route 3 into 495. Just a disaster. It even stretches to the Turnpike for those, the approach from the Turnpike just before Union City. And then finally, your GWB approach, that's actually your best bet. That's only going to be 20 minutes in. This is the 4-mile point behind the bridge itself. So this is showing things are wide open. Definitely the way to go. 8:50 is our time. And today we are celebrating 2 young New Jersey performers who are getting a very special taste of the Broadway spotlight. Mia Sanchez and Brennan Scott have been named 2 of the 5 newest junior Stardusters at the world-famous Ellen's Stardust Diner in Times Square. Mia is 15 and from Franklin, New Jersey. Brennan is 17 from Denville. Both are passionate about musical theater, and they're getting the chance to perform at a place that's helped launch the careers of countless performers. We say good morning to Mia and Brennan. Good morning, both of you.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
How are you?
Great to have you both on. We'll start with Mia. Mia, you're 15. You've already performed at one of the most famous singing diners in the whole world. So, what was going through your mind when you found out that you were selected to do this?
I was so shocked to even be in the top 30 and be there. I was so grateful, let alone winning. Like, I was so shocked and I was so happy.
And you're going to be performing all this time from the Count of Monte Cristo. What made that song the right choice for you, and what did you love about performing it?
My mom showed it to me, and I just thought it was such a beautiful song, and it really showcases my voice.
Very cool. You have that range for that song. That's fantastic. And you competed, Mia, against 300 applicants to become one of the five junior Stardusters. What was the audition like? I mean, how nervous do you get before you have to go up there and compete?
Very nervous. I heard everyone else. There was so much talent in one room. It was like overwhelming, but it was so fun, and it was such an amazing experience.
Very cool. And Brennan, you're 17 and you're from right here, also in New Jersey, in Denville. How did you first get into musical theater, and when did you realize that performing was something that you really wanted to pursue?
Yeah, I did my first musical back in seventh grade, but I've been performing even before then. I sang for the first time in front of my dad's rock band at like 3 years old. I sang the song "Keep Your Hands to Yourself" if you know that. But it was great, and ever since then I love to be on a stage. My mom told me about like my kindergarten talent show, and I was like, hey, I'll do that. I like jumped at the chance, and yeah, I did my first musical back in seventh grade, and ever since then, been doing shows.
Do you ever get nervous? I mean, either one of you, do you, when you have to perform in front of a crowd of people, do you look forward for the opportunity to, or look forward to the opportunity, I should say, to showcase your talents? Or is there some kind of stress or nerves involved? Either one of
Yeah,
you could take that.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take this one. I'd say that it's it's very like it is nerve-wracking, and the nerves are good. I like to say that like the nerves means that you care about it, and it keeps you like on edge. It keeps you in the moment, and it really just helps to make the performance more connected to everything.
And Mia, how about yourself? When you have to perform, and by the way, I'm assuming there's a difference in the way you feel just to perform or audition versus compete, right? Competing or auditioning is different from showcasing, because when you go to showcase your talent, they're there to hear you as opposed to competing where they're looking for to knock you out of the competition, if you will. How do you feel, Mia, when you have to go up and perform?
Well, I do feel a mix of both excited and nervous for sure. I'm excited to showcase my talent and show everyone what I came there for, but I'm also obviously nervous because there's so much talent in the room, and I was definitely nervous for this audition. So yeah.
Beautiful. And Brennan, you're going to be performing Dream Lover from Just in Time. What drew you to that song, and how are you putting your own spin on it?
Yeah, I've been listening to like Frank Sinatra and Bobby Darin and Bublé since forever. Both sets of my grandparents and my parents both are all avid listeners to all of that like crooner jazzy stuff. And I've listened to that for so long. And then I saw the show last year and then again earlier this year. And I knew that I had to sing that song at Ellen's because the audience connection that I can bring to it is so great. And especially at Ellen's, where you're walking around and you're so close to everyone, being able to connect with them and to dance with them is so awesome.
And you're mentioning Ellen's, the Stardust Diner. For those who don't realize, if you walk in Times Square, you'll see it there. It's been there forever. And they have a reputation for helping young performers take their next steps toward Broadway. A lot of people who work there as waiters and waitresses, to use the male female term, which is probably passe. I should just say waiters or servers. That shows my age. But a lot of people who are servers there also perform for people. I remember from years ago, they would come up, they would sing as they would take your order. That's a very cool thing. Mia, when you look at what could come next, what is the dream role or the Broadway show that you'd love to be part of someday?
Well, my favorite musical right now is Boo, but my dream role is Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice. I just love that character so much.
It's awesome. Listen, I know people who are on Broadway who are Broadway performers. In fact, you probably are well aware. A lot of people work at several shows at the same time. They could be understudies at 3 different shows, and depending on who needs them, you have to have all those roles in your mind. I should even ask you too, Brennan. Do you ever get to a point where in the middle of a performance you go, "Oh my God, what's my next line?" Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, there have definitely been moments where I've had those like kind of brain fart moments. Especially one of the last shows that I did, I was a lead role and then I also understudied another role. So I had 2 sets of lines in my head, which was fine. I made it through, but definitely like there were a couple of moments like in the breaks where I was like, wait, what is my next scene? But it's just part of the biz. You gotta roll with it. Improvise.
Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is. And I've seen it. I've seen a couple of shows where I kind of know the lines, and I've caught that they've improvised, and they probably had that brain fart moment. And I appreciate that. Having been in television for 40 years myself, believe me, almost every show we have a brain fart moment. Trust me. Uh, but anyway, we're so proud and excited for both of you, Mia Sanchez, Brennan Scott. We want you to come back. Let us know how things go. Stardust Diner. Oh my gosh. All the best to both of you. And we thank you both for coming on this morning.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
You bet. Oh my God. Exciting. And that does it for this edition of On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 7 a.m. Have a wonderful Wednesday.